What's good, family? Smash the like button and subscribe. Wow. So as you might have seen by the title, Deontay Wilder and his goofy team have come out with some mad comments over the last few weeks. Now, I don't want to get, on this particular video, I don't want to get too much into the medical and psychological aspect of this. I do have some new leaked information coming soon from our MD Donny. From, obviously, if you might don't know, MD means medical doctor Donny. Yeah, he's given me the drop on Deontay Wilder's current medical situation. But like I said, let's not go too much into that. But I thought it's best to kind of asterisk this video with starting off at least by telling you, man, it's a complete fact. Deontay Wilder, ever since February 2020, he's been going through it. I'm talking medically speaking. Yeah, so we have to, everything we say, or everything he says, everything his team says, we have to take with a pinch of salt. He's not a well man. Yeah, these aren't the, like for example, before 2020 February, yes, Wilder was somewhat unhinged, but that was mainly to do with natural genetic intelligence. Yeah, that wasn't the result of blunt force trauma, if that makes sense. That wasn't environmental damage on his barnet. That was just general low intelligence. And even that, you man have always known my opinion. I don't clown dons who, I'm going to call a spade a spade. If you're low IQ, have an ass, that's what you are. But still, low IQ is low IQ. I'm going to call it out. That said, we don't, you know what I'm saying? We don't jump on people for that. It's not his fault. He's genetically challenged in the intelligence department. And again, that was before February 2020. Now, post February 2020, you have to be even more sensitive because not only is he carrying that genetic intelligence affliction, he also now has the psychomedical part of things where he's taken some severe blunt force trauma, some blunt force trauma induced psychosis and whatnot is what he's developed. But anyway, like I told you, man, another video coming soon, exclusive video, leaked Deontay Wilder's medical situation, and we'll you know what, we'll take that in its own right in due course. Today's video, these claims. Now, yes, Deontay Wilder is super low IQ. Yes, Deontay Wilder is mentally impaired from severe blunt force trauma from the events that took place in February 2020. However, despite those facts, it still doesn't excuse this level of delusion, especially when some of it's coming from his team. Like, what's going on here? Wilder, yes, you can be fully excused for your actions. That's how I feel. Now I spoke to a doctor here. My doctor Don told me, listen, YB, I've seen the records. You can't hold Wilder responsible for anything he says now. You know what I'm saying? Trust me, if you saw Wilder's brain scans, you wouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? If you man, I'm going to call it spade a spade. If you man have seen Deontay Wilder's brain scans, like I have, you wouldn't be holding him responsible for anything he says either. Yeah? He doesn't know what he's saying. Does that make sense? He doesn't know what's going on. He's completely clapped, and it's going to be actually shocking if he gets a license. Because don't forget, Wilder hasn't had a brain scan since the fight in February 2020. So don't be shocked here. We've talked a lot here about, Fury not going to turn up, and I've done that. But like I told you, man, I've got more videos coming soon. Don't be shocked here that Wilder don't get a license. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's touch and go if Wilder's even going to get a license on this one, no doubt. Because he been going through it. The level of trauma. Just think about it for a second, yeah? Think about the level of trauma. The level of damage your brain must take to believe that privilege, to believe that W privilege was what was attacking you. Do you understand? Imagine that. Imagine signing a fight, and it's not as if it's a big mystery here. Wilder was kissing the man. Wilder had been in the ring with the man before. Do you understand? Wilder had spent 12 rounds in the ring with the man before. and didn't mention anything about W privilege. So we can't sit here and no one don't at me and say, YB, you're lying about Wilder's medical situation. No, we're not. Wilder spent 12 rounds in the ring with Fury, and never once did he mention W privilege. So he was the same man. What changed between the first fight and the second fight? The level of blunt force trauma his head took. I'm sorry. When you man understand science, yeah, the only changing factor, yeah, everything else is controlled. It's the same opponent. Everything else is the same ring, the same gloves. Everything else is controlled. The only changing variable here is the whooping he took. And that's why it's direct causality, no doubt, direct causality. The brain trauma Wilder Barnett took directly led to these statements of him believing of this developed psychosis and delusion. That, you know what I'm saying, like it's some big cabal against him. No, you just got a good whooping. But again, I'm not holding Wilder responsible here. It's not his fault. It's almost like Ali in his last days, as such. You know what I'm saying? It's one of them ones. That's how I hate to break it, you, man. We are seeing, and I really, like I told you, I really do pray that the medical doctors and the licensees do their job properly. Because if they do, Wilder won't be getting no license. He ain't well. And there's a lot of goofies on YouTube who themselves, they're not smart. They're 20 IQ. They can't even see their own man, their own king, is going through it medically speaking. His health is not well. And you man are getting behind him and backing him up and kind of jumping on the bandwagon and boosting him up. Yeah? What planet are you on? This man's sick and you're encouraging it. Like, what is this? For example, we saw Floyd Mayweather. When Roger Mayweather was going through it. You didn't see Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Not that Roger Mayweather thankfully wasn't delusional, but again, different illnesses and whatnot manifest in different ways. Wilder's, unfortunately, has manifested itself in a paranoid psychosis, a verbal paranoid psychosis where he's verbalizing it. You understand? Different conditions affect different people differently, obviously. Some people are them quiet ones. Wilder is clearly he's verbalizing it. He's a loud crazy. Yeah, it's one of them ones. There's all, trust me, when you man go to a madhouse, there's all different dons. There's the quiet don, there's the mouthy don, whole bag of dons. Wilder is the mouthy, verbalizing don. No doubt. And I hate to say it, but 50 years from now, you best believe Wilder will be in one of them places. And he'll be talking about, and people won't believe him, he'll be talking about, I used to be the world heavyweight champion, they set me up, and people, you know what I'm saying, I swear it down, 50 years from now, that's where Wilder will be. He'll be in one of these bookie houses, and he'll be telling everyone that he was the world heavyweight champion. They set him up, and they did him wrong, and it was W privilege that did it, and it's the man, no doubt. And the fact that this is the early onset stages of this, and you man are kind of encouraging it, is sad, super sad. And you've got Malik Scott. This man's 10 times Ali, and the thing is, he ain't lying. Yeah, and again, many people, especially Wilder's fangirls, actually overlook this statement. What Malik Scott is really saying is, you're right, he is 10 times Ali. His brain is 10 times more damaged than Ali's was at the end, by the way. Yeah? So a lot of these people have misconstrued what Malik Scott was really saying. Wilder's 10 times Ali. Let's not forget, Malik Scott has spent a lot of time with Wilder. Trust me, he knows that Wilder is 10 times Ali. You man thought he meant in terms of boxing skill. No, he means in terms of how cooked his brain is. Wilder's brain is cooked 10 times Ali's. And you've got to remember as well, Ali went through it in his career. Ali didn't have no weak genetics. Ali got pummeled for years, rightly or wrongly. He went through it. He earned that. Yeah. Ali's sickness, he earned it. Wilder, you only got touched once by a Don with pillow fist. What's your excuse? You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to victim blame here, but that's the truth. You got some real. I told you. Listen, I've got some more videos coming soon. Wilder's nutritionist People have been blaming Mark Breland and blaming this guy. The real guy is the nutritionist, because they give Wilder. He's been giving Wilder some moody food. When you look at Wilder's legs, look at Wilder's pigeon chest, look at Wilder's complaints of having his legs getting tired. That there is nutrition 101. Wilder's malnourished. Just look at the guy. And again, we hear about often people cutting weight for fights and how that can be dangerous for the brain. Guess what? Having low blood sugar, having low fat content, that also means your brain doesn't hold enough nutrients. And when Fury was bouncing his Barnett around, and there's one picture where Wilder was grabbing Fury's ankles, literally clinging onto something, like a lost baby. You know what I'm saying? That there wasn't a well man. He was just trying to cling onto something real, because Fury was bouncing his head all over the place. So really, this right here is a sad story. We've got what's that? I'm trying to think of it. When Malik Scott said Wilder's 10 times Ali, that there was a Freudian slip. He thought he was referring to the skill level, but really, kind of subconsciously, spent so much time with Wilder, he kind of spurted it out. Oops. You know what I'm saying? Oops, I've just told the whole world that Wilder's 10 times more sick than Ali was. No doubt. And like I told you, man, Ali earned it. You only went in there once with Fury, and he ain't even got no power. That's the worst part. Ali was in there with Liston and Foreman and Fraser again, and doubling up. You know what I'm saying? Not even one pillow-fisted Don. Norton, whole bag of man was he in there with. Larry Holmes, the whole lot. You went in there once, and it's the thing. Ali was around at a time where W privilege was actually prevalent. I never heard, for all the licks that Ali took, I never once heard him talk about, oh, it was the man that got me, the man got me. He took his licks and sucked it up. Yeah? And even at the end, when Ali wasn't himself, he still managed to keep his, you know what I'm saying? That bit inside him, that warrior inside him, still didn't let, you know what I'm saying? Given his state, that could have been, that could have been easy for him to let go. Oh, I got set. No. Ali's soul as a fighter wouldn't let him. Wilder got hit a few times on his Barnett, and his weak mind, his weak soul, just went full delusional mode. Oh man, it's the main got me. Oh, it's the main, and the what? He got me. The main, he got. Wow. This shows that, to an extent, medically speaking, we can't blame Wilder for what he's saying now, but his soul's weak, because Ali's soul didn't, you know what I'm saying? Ali's soul didn't say no goofy things like that. Do you know why? Because his soul was strong. Yes, his body had forsaked him, but his soul was, you know what I'm saying? Ali's soul was still strong as a rock. Wilder's soul weak, because he got hit once, much like Billy Ho Saunders. Wilder got hit once, and he's crying about institutional systems and how it worked against him. Wilder, you'd been in there with a man for a whole fight, and you was kissing him afterwards. You weren't talking about no system, so we know for a fact that wasn't it. It wasn't the system, because if it was the system, the first fight wouldn't have gone the way it did, would it? So let's get serious now. The system wouldn't pick and choose. If the system wanted to get you, that it got you on the first fight, would they not? Oops. Yeah? It weren't no system. You just got a good whooping. And you've developed some severe early on stages. Yeah? Some deep blunt force trauma induced psychosis, no doubt. And I just prayed at them screening dons, them people who do your medical test, give you a good, you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, they don't even need to give you a good brain scan, just a little one, because trust me, the amount of damage your Barnett's got, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to see. If they even check a little bit, Wilder ain't getting no license. You best believe. And I can't believe you man sit there and hear the things he's saying and think, you think he's a healthy man. Like, what's wrong with you, man? In any other situation, yeah, people would say there's something wrong with him. he needs to be checked. Just think about it. Imagine that. Just in any other situation, imagine, yeah. Just think about, I'm trying to think. I can't even think of an analogy. It's so crazy. It's unparalleled. I've never heard of anything like it. Ever. Genuinely, ever heard of anything like it. And let's not forget as well, this is the man who won his court case. Shout out to the general. I forgot who it was, but one general out there pointed this out to me, and it's an amazing point. Wilder is the man. And this is another point, another proof we can prove that Wilder isn't. He's not. You know what I'm saying? He's not of well mind. Yeah, he's not a well man, because in one breath he claims that it was an institutional. There's an institution. There's a W. Institutional cabal against him. And on the other breath, he won his court case. So which is it? Because that court, you best believe that court was a white court, yeah, in a white judicial system. So you can't have it all. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it that the system got you, but then the system didn't get you. Which is it? But again, number one, his intelligence, and all the people around him, they are not intelligent. If they was, they'd understand this contradiction. They can't. It's not that, again, it's not their fault. They don't know what they don't know. You understand? That wouldn't even cross their mind. Oops, wait there a minute. We've just celebrated that we won in the white court, and on the same breath we're gonna complain about how the white man got. Oh me, the white man got us, and that there is an impossibility. In fact, when you think about it, yeah, if there was anywhere that the white man was going to get them, where would it be? I'd bet they'd get them in the court before they got you in the ring. Thinking about how those power structures work. Oh, no. The things I tell you, man, now, yeah, that there is a man of 190 IQ, yeah? Of well mind. We're not talking about a whole bunch of goofies with 50 IQ, LDBC goofies, LDBC fangirls with limited IQ, and in Wilder's case, severe blunt force trauma. Undiagnosed blunt force trauma as well. Severe. Yeah? Long lasting. Fury hit him with them long lasting blunt forces as well. 100%. That is one thing Wilder did get correct. You're right, Wilder. He did hit you bluntly a few times. And it did ring your barnet for you. Well good. Yeah, so when you made that video saying, oh man, he dented him, you're right, your head did get dented. Because you, listen, truth be known, like I told you, man, your nutritionist did you wrong. That's why your bones are soft. Yeah, soft like butter. That's what your bones is like. Listen, your nutritionist did you wrong. Not even a bit of BCAAs in your diet. Yeah, you need them branch chains in there. Get you nice and strong, because you're looking soft right now. Your barnet's looking soft. No doubt. Anyway, before I go, listen. Wilder and his team gassing this whole thing up about, oh, Wilder's 10 times Ali, and listen. I give Wilder an excuse. As you've heard in this video, I can excuse the things that Wilder says. He is sick. But Malik Scott, what is your excuse? You didn't get hit with a shot. You flopped on the floor with a phantom shot. Yeah? You ain't got no excuse. You haven't suffered with extreme blunt force trauma. So what is this? And I understand subconsciously it was a Freudian slip, and you're spending a lot of time around a sick man in Wilder, and you didn't really mean it how people have perceived it. People have perceived that you meant, oh, Wilder's 10 times his skill, but now the YB's exposed it. No, what you really meant is 10 times the medical emergency that Ali was at the end. But all of these goofies, all the LDBC muppets, didn't even realise what you really meant. But the YB does. Because the YB's, you best believe, got a whole bag of medical dons around him. And you best believe, the minute they heard what Wilder said, they got straight on the blower to YB. YB, this cat ain't looking right. And I've spoken to medical dons, yeah, who have spent a lot of time, 100%, psychiatrist dons, 20, 30 years in the field. This right here, Wilder's a textbook case of trauma, physical trauma, induced psychosis, yeah? Verbalized psychosis at that, yeah? Wilder ain't no internal, he ain't internalizing it, he's verbalizing it. One of them, he's gonna, like I told you before, he's gonna be one of them loud ones. He's gonna be one of them loud ones who's walking up and down and talking to themselves. No doubt, 100%. This right here is early onset. We don't normally see. I've been hearing it. We don't normally see cases this severe in people 35 years old. But again, because of the physical, because of the moshing he took from theory, that's what's caused it. That's what's accelerated it. And what makes it even more dangerous at the moment is that it's been undiagnosed. People around Wilder haven't even clocked on. They're just thinking, oh yeah, you know what Wilder's like, he's stupid. He's gonna say stupid things. And to be fair, we've heard from Wilder's team. Got another video coming soon. Wilder's team even said today that, oh yeah, like Shelley Winkle was kind of telling Wilder to be quiet. I think he's kind of clocked on that something's not quite right here. Wilder's not feeling too well, because of course Wilder employs many white people in his team, so they're feeling kind of awkward right now. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's feeling kind of on edge. Like, what's going on here? Wilder's talking about the white. But I'm employed by Wilder, Shelley Winkle, Jay Diaz. So if any of you mania is wondering, what are you talking about? Wilder's not suffering. Wilder's not suffering with brain. What do they call it? Wilder's not suffering with a degenerative brain disease. Oh yes, he is. Because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be. He'd understand how it doesn't make sense. Wait there a minute. Before I call the white man into question, I better make sure I don't have any white man in my team working with me right now. Innit? That's what a logical man would think. How can I sit there and make this claim when two of the most influential people in my life happen to be that way? Oops. There's what you call a contradiction. That's what you don't even have to be a rocket scientist, but you have to be well to understand that. He don't get that. You know what I'm saying? Them neurons ain't firing properly in his brain. Because the degenerative brain disease he's going through right now, it's eating away. Yeah, eating away at them neurons. And I told you at the start of the video, he didn't have too many of them to start off with, yeah? You understand? He didn't have too many of them. He didn't. He already had a limited base, and the few he did have, that disease is just chomping away at them. I'll tell you now, the last thing Wilder needs, and I wish you man, yeah, who say, oh man, Wilder's my king, and I wish you man really cared about him, because if you did, yeah, you'd be saying to someone, get him some help. The last thing he needs is to get moshed some more. Just look at the deterioration between the first fight and the second fight. What's next? Next, you'll see Wilder shouting these claims on top of a roof somewhere. Is that what you want? Because I can see the escalation, me. I can see it. It's getting quite scary and quite sad, truth be known. But again, these goofies don't know what they don't know. They think it's all, it's all fun and entertainment. This ain't fun. It's not fun for Wilder. He's genuinely feeling panicked and scared, and he feels like people are coming out to get him. Listen to what he's saying. Just listen to the madness he's saying. I saw a video of him talking with Jay Diaz, and you can see that Wilder's looking at Jay. You know what I'm saying? He's looking at Jay Diaz and seeing if he's got things in his hands and whatnot. And like, is Jay going to try and come at him? And, you know what? 100%. What you might need to do, yeah, is watch a film called Team Foxcatcher. That's what you might name. Perfect one. Watch a film called Team Foxcatcher. And if you think I'm joking about these things, you best believe that there is exactly what Wilder's going through right now. Yeah? He's going through it. And the very last thing I'm going to say is, listen. You know what? I don't even want to address the actual claims that Wilder is 10 times Ali, because like I told you, Malik Scott wasn't talking about skills. He was talking about how sick Wilder is. But even if he was, let's for a second, to end this video, if he was talking about Wilder's skill level, yeah? Listen. Ali beat the people before him, the people in his generation, and the people afterwards. Or he at least fought them all, rather. He beat Liston. He beat Foreman. He beat Frazier. He fought Holmes. I'm pretty sure he did beat someone in the after generation as well. But either way, listen, beating the before and durings is enough. He beat Liston twice. Liston was his Klitschko. He beat Foreman and Frazier. They were his AJ. Guess what, Wilder? You didn't beat Klitschko. You capped your pants and didn't want no problems. You stayed real quiet, fighting bums for 40 fights and waited until Klitschko's retired, despite having the same manager. That's how scary you was. You could have said, Shelley, get me one of the Klitschkos. I want to prove myself, just like Ali did. You didn't do that. You stayed quiet and scary, and then popped up when all the belts was given up, and Vitaly gave his belt up because he was bored of filling people in. You could have said, you know what, Vitaly, you stepped up to fight Lennox. I want to do the same, just like Ali stepped up to fight Liston. Just like Vitaly stepped up to fight Lennox. You weren't that guy. You weren't the AJ. You weren't the Fury, to be fair. Who said, you know what, I want a piece of them old dons. Let me get a piece of that. That wasn't you. You was the scary looking ass who waited and tried to play Nick about. That's what you did. Yeah, so let's talk about no Ali. You can't even talk about you really. You're like you're like a Pulev, really. Just some random don who's been hanging about the place. That's what you are, a Pulev looking ass. Yeah? You nicked a belt and you've been hanging around ever since. And now the first decent fight you fought, you got filled in. That's your career. And that's how your career will end as well, because you're no good. You've got no chin, your legs are too skinny, and the problem is your skinny legs, yeah, the first thing that lands on your barnet, which is already compromised now, like you've said yourself, you've given the game up. By the way, another point which proves how sick you are, you don't even realise how you're exposing yourself. What fighter, yeah, has his head dented? What fighter has his head dented and then brings up that fact to the world? Who does that? Oh man, my head's been dented. Like what? That there isn't a claim by a well man. No fighter tells the truth that their head's been dented, even if it has. That's the kind of information you want to hide to yourself.